In this video we are going to study the first workshop of the Prudmet project entitled How to Develop Teaching and Learning Through Technology. The aims of this unit are: first, to introduce the Teaching and Learning Through Technology workshops. Second, to highlight the importance of starting with learning outcomes first. Next, to explain the design process to incorporate technologies into learning. And finally, to explain the process for designing authentic and engaging learning interventions. The first section is focused on introducing the workshops that make up the Prudmet project. In total, there are 8 workshops that address different aspects of the use of technology in learning, and that address aspect as important as how to develop teaching and learning through technology. How to work with others. How to use advanced technologies for learning. How to implement technology in learning easily. How to use technology well in the physical and virtual classrooms. How to show learning gain through technology. How to lead technology for learning in higher education. And how to facilitate learning through technology for technologists. To implement these workshops in practice, a team of mentors will offer support during the learning process. In this first point, we also analyze the objectives of the workshops, which are fundamentally focused on making a more successful and effective use in the classroom. And we also pay attention to how to implement these workshops in practice. The process will start from the completion of the Prudmet competency assessment test, and from there, the person trained will decide which modules to complete according to their needs. Given the importance that the incorporation of technology in the classroom should not be ad hoc or casual, but should be done with a specific didactic purpose, the second section is called Starting with Learning Outcomes First. For this reason, we will devote a section to defining how we can establish these objectives, through a process of reflection in which we can assess the current and necessary level of competencies to be achieved. The next step will be to study how we can achieve these learning objectives, by incorporating technology that can also be effective for their personal development and professional future. Finally, we will review the sources where we can find some of the specific technologies we may need for teaching. Beginning the design process is the next section of the workshop. In order to design the teaching correctly, it is important to start from an understanding of the target group, the characteristics of the teachers, and the resources available in the center. It is also interesting to reflect on the culture of the organization in terms of technology, and to promote a technologically friendly environment. In addition, 2 basic principles must be taken into account. The first is that technology is a strategic tool that should be adapted to the learning process, rather than the physical tools. The most important are the competencies that the student should develop and demonstrate. The second is identify what students will do with technology. The design process itself will consist of 4 phases. Defining which technology to use for each objective. Assess the extent to which it is accessible and sustainable. Implement it to assess the impact it has. And redesign based on success and future needs. Finally, there is an example of good practices that can be easily implemented. The last section of the workshop is how to design engaging authentic interventions. This last section of the workshop defines what is authentic engaging learning. Firstly, and how to include engaging activities in the classroom easily through the use of methodology, multimedia, networks and real-life examples. Then, the easiest way to create this engagement, however, is by using certain technologies, so we finally review 10 of the technologies that can be used in the classroom in different knowledge areas, and that guarantee a greater approximation to reality, and therefore, improve the degree of engagement of the students in the classroom. Now, it's time to apply your knowledge and start implementing amazing and engaging learning activities using technology. Thank you for your attention.